a handful of hot drops here. Some
It
teams
is.
have not been afraid of backing down, saying, hey, this is our spot. We're going to fight you for it. We feel comfortable with it. Even if they've been, it hasn't been the most successful. I know that we have a couple of teams that have said, we're going here no matter what, and you're more than welcome to move. And it's almost like the unstoppable force meets an immovable object kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see because generally that does happen in like relegation type things where you have some teams coming from one league, some teams coming from another. Some of them may share spots open up. So it's very possible we see some hot drop situations. I know you were talking with a few of the teams as well. Now, with only one game being in the books as far as stats, and we were just looking at those, I'm not like worried about anyone, right? Like it's just the first game. So I'm hoping the teams that didn't get as many points as they would have wanted just shake it off, come into the next game clean, reset the mindset, and get ready to come into this one with a good fragging mentality. And that's kind of what makes this 12-game stretch so tough is for the teams that aren't able to do that, it becomes a problem.
Well, match number 2 underway. You see the map there on your screen, northeast to southwest, a pretty playable plane drop for everything on the map. And squads will have their opportunity here to try and either accelerate their lead if you're in the form of Comets or Noble, or bounce back for some of those squads that didn't score any points. We had 3 of them that had no points in game number 1. See how they do here on Miramar.
Yep, and it also looks like, putting a little more focus once again towards SSG, it doesn't look like they're going for El Pozo. The plane wasn't necessarily the greatest for it either, and I know kind of a contingency for them as they like to lead via Demar and go a little southwest, but it looks like they're actually going to be going
Yeah,
Chuma.
they're doing it, baby.
I think they have
Vanquish
2
at
hot
303. So I
going-
didn't want to say anything until they did it. These are the 2 squads that were like, we don't like the other guys that apparently.
This is so dangerous, but also so fun to watch because you are risking a lot, especially in a 12-game series of going for a hot drop like this.
Yeah, apparently on the way here from the hotel, these 2 squads didn't talk to each other. They haven't talked about their hot dropping things.
Same shuttle.
They were in the same shuttle
yeah.
on the way here. Didn't say anything to each other. Can't wait to see how this one plays out.
I just want to point out as well, on the other side of things, it looks like Obey and SSG potentially dropped in the same spot as well. So we have multiple squads contesting very early in order to get a spot here in Miramar, and it is going to be the circle posting SSG. I'm sure they wish they were in their home. It is centered right on El Pozo, man.
Oh, yeah, so lucky for them, but we'll keep an eye on these hot drops as you said, even SSG and Obey thinking about circling up here against
It does look like Obey
Chimsera.
backed off, to be fair. But the main story here is definitely 303 and Vanquish. These guys are 100% contesting each other. They know they're contesting each other. There's no love lost between these 2 guys. Again, I kind of wish I could have been in that shuttle ride, but yeah, this is really cool to watch, but it's very dangerous and can be nerve-wracking. You never want to lose a player early in a hot drop. You always want to try to at least cripple the other team or at least get enough loot to be able to safely get out and avoid any heavy losses during the first couple minutes of the game.
Can you imagine that shuttle? They're probably like, hey, man, that's my belt buckle. That's my seatbelt buckle. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. I don't have another one. No, this is mine now.
You think it came to blows, little fisticuffs in the
I think it got a little testy in the van between these 2 squads. And the coolest part is they're in the circle, so they can do the standoff as long as they want. It's going to ruin them.
It's
but,
not, it's not the greatest for them to, kind of sit on the same position. But you're right, and that's something, I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that teams definitely think about. Like if you're in a circle in a hot drop situation, and I've been there too, the argument then becomes, or the discussion becomes, do we just say, screw it, we're going to sit here as long as it takes to just prove the point. We're already in the circle. We don't have to fight. It's not a big deal. Or do you just want to get out and go for the position play early? And it looks like 303 is kind of starting to back off.
Yeah, so I heard Vanquish say they're more than happy to take those. They won most of those throughout the week of scrims.
Sure.
303 said, yes, that's true, but over the last couple days, we've won most of them. So
yeah, but at the same time, those are just scrims, brother. You know what I mean? Scrims and LAN and competition are completely different worlds. People play differently. Some people play more confident. Some people play a little less confident. So just because you won in scrims, brother, doesn't mean that that's going to be the outcome every single time. And oftentimes we've seen it be a different outcome during the actual games.
All right, so it seems like both teams had their moment of glory. No points, no deaths, but that was a pretty cool start here on Miramar.
It could have been exciting.
And we'll get to see if they continue to do it throughout the day. You know, throughout the they got one more map here as most teams now starting to rotate on in. It's getting a little clustered earlier in terms of rotations. You saw Smoking Aces and Hero Bay Alliance were in vehicles nearby each other, but it looks like everyone will be able to find some land here in the northwest, except there's Boom popping off early here on Elusive J all day.
Yeah, and these guys have actually opted to take the church just north of El Pozo, and this is an incredibly strong position in the circle, especially if it starts to shift a little more north, it starts to pull away from the city, or it comes around the center of the position they're on, because you are on the high ground, you have a lot of vantage and a lot of just kind of clear sightlines of what's going on around you. However, you also have to be careful up there because you can get pushed from any side. It's really kind of open to everything.
How about this for a building storyline? The second time that 303 has caught out Smoking Aces. This time it's the
I mean,
veteran
Sociopath
there,
is
Soapy
literally a sociopath running through the open with no backpack and a micro. So.
Oh, the point actually gets stolen away, though, by Obey Alliance. So 303's hard work gets taken away by the damage leader of the NPL contenders, Hades.
Yeah, and here we go. This is what I was talking about. It looks like Zenith has already found their way onto Oxy's kind of compound here, this church compound up here north of Pozo. And this can lead, I've seen quite a few stalemates kind of in this position. No one really wants to push because there's just so many different angles you have to worry about here.
Yep, Boom spotted out there. Kendo on the flankerino. And again, can't forget 5 points there for Zenith, 4 placement points. We didn't really talk about them too much in that last game. A lot of action happening around them. They had 2 sneaky snakes that were able to place high enough for Zenith to get into those placements. But again, Oxy really didn't have a game to play in that game number 1. They got stuck in the boats. They got chased around. They got screwed by the circle thanks to Elusive. And you know, Oxy's no slouches as Fizzle now. Uh-oh. A lot of Space Station gaming with Fizzle just holding one compound, but it looks like Space Station might not want to take it. They don't know it's just one person.
Well, they may or they may not know. It's kind of what they saw when Valiant was holding for them, because Space Station is also definitely a team that if they know it's one person in a compound, they have no qualms about just pushing them in.
What's happening over there by Demar? Right here, it looks like God Squad and Player One Esports going a bit back and forth on the rotation. Danny G and David shooting some sprays, but a big rotation necessary for both these squads here.
Yeah, and this is definitely not a fight that I think is worth it, especially because both teams are so far south. They still have to rotate in. Luckily for P1E and unlucky for David, at least 3 of them have made it kind of past the checkpoint that we saw God Squad on, which means that at the very least, if they do lose David, which I think he'll be fine here, they at least have 3 members coming in. But Triggs, does not look like God Squad want to give up. And we have seen them, again, set traps for teams before in the NPLC.
Yeah, again, a little bit spread out here by God Squad, but they're going to be very late in this first circle rotation. Probably not what they wanted is Spray finding a place to peel off and park off to pick up his buddy.
You're actually going to find a kill, looks like, or at least a knock onto Patron. But the other thing about this circle that I find always interesting as well is what you're seeing right now from Yaxley's point of view is there's so many different mountaintops, hills, valleys, divots, defilades. Like this, there's a lot of interesting playable terrain here, and there's a lot of room for these teams to kind of explore and find different paths up or down on positions that they want to take or positions that other teams have encroached. So I think this circle is really interesting. This is also one of the ones that I said does tend to end on Crater Field quite often, although this one is a little more south, so this could be a Pozo ending. I mean, we'll see.
Oh, it looks like following along here with Supernova. Acro crashes right on
Acro
into the trees. 303 now has at least 1 member of Supernova up close with 3 members up top. It's a Nate Greg shot and Hella further back trying to cover Acro. Not sure where the rest of 303 is, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And the good thing here for Acro and Supernova is the fact that there really isn't too many good buildings or windows that they can take, and 303 can take shots back. So Acro should be safe here, and he should be stabilized unless 303 goes for a push. This could be bait coming down on the bike. Greg shot coming in, and Acro looking for the knock.
Yeah, Batty Lowell on crouch. Oh, Batty Lowell, that's a bad time to turn away. He gets taken down. D-Rich, actually, he's not dead yet. D-Rich has joined the fight, but Batty Lowell should be going in just a second. D-Rich trying to come on down. Oh, shoots through the window, not able to get it.
And he jumps
Associate
out,
does
yeah.
go down as well.
And now it is actually just down to D-Rich as Dusty is so far away.
Ooh,
beautiful nade.
Kobe.
Coming out from D-Rich, but he's all alone. I don't know if Dusty's going to come back and commit. D-Rich needs to make a decision here. Does he go for more frags? Does he try to get out? It looks like he's going to go for some more frags.
Yeah, Hella and D-Rich. We've seen this go back and forth a long time. Wow. Wow, D-Rich just with the tilt. Now one more. Is he able to get one more? Oh, he's very low as Greg shot. Where's the cover from an 8? That's what I've got to be asking if I'm a Supernova member right now. As the heel coming on in from D-Rich, very, very low, will be able to pick it up. Dusty, he was thinking about leaving. Now he has to come back, or maybe he has to come back. He's watching from very, very
too late
far
now.
away.
Dusty, I mean, he can try to play Overwatch here for his team, but it's too late for that now. D-Rich gonna get grenaded, yeah, and Dusty's just got to stay back. Had that support actually come earlier, D-Rich with a heroic effort to get some knocks there onto Supernova, and Nate staying back to, again, kind of be that Overwatch for the team. Almost lost multiple members, but it looks like they're going to stabilize. It's going to be at least 3 up for Supernova as Dusty now has to retreat on his own.
Yeah, what a play there by D-Rich on his lonesome. Was able to get 2 knocks, 1 kill, but Hella seems like she's in a safe spot, will get revived. And it is Supernova coming off an aggressive play here. And so 3 of 3. They get hot dropped. They hot drop Vanquish, but don't even die to Vanquish. It's Supernova coming on in later.
Yeah, and this one is, it does look like it's centering on Pozo. This Pozo circles are something else, man, let me tell you. I do want to just really quickly, though, touch upon the initial play Supernova made, having Acro be in the compound and then kind of sending Greg Shot in on a bike as bait. That really is what opened up that fight for Supernova.
Kappa Pride.
Yeah, but Fizzle getting shot. This is not a safe place. I tell you that right now with SSG hanging out.
Colgy went down. Fizzle's like, see you later. That's it.
Shots coming out of J-Sank there. But yeah, just wanted to go back to that real quick. That was a pretty cool thing by Supernova. They were able to cling back D-Rich with a heroic effort. But now we move into Pozo, where the majority of these teams are going to try to make their way in, and it gets very claustrophobic.
Again, just a lot of teams not liking to play in these complexes, checking every corner. You don't know where the campers could be. They could be in the bathroom, on the fridge, on top of any of those construction pieces of hardware. And it's not going to be fun for these squads for the next couple circles. It might just be a little bit slower as Lampalot now trying to get a bit cheeky on this Smoke and Aces squad. Again, Smoke and Aces already lost 1 member earlier to 303. It was Soapylicious that died, and Lamp will back off and join the rest of his squad mates here. And it looks like now each team has themselves at least a compound. They're safe. No one really going to push. And it's only phase 2 here.
And to be fair, there was only like 3 or 4 teams that weren't kind of centered up when we first looked at that little scuff between God Squad and P1E down south. And obviously both teams have made it in. Low key, though, they have been coming very late into these circles. Fortunately for them, it does shift southwest, which means that they're going to be able to kind of find something to play. But this kind of seems to be, to touch on that team just in general, an issue for them is always coming in rotations so absolutely late and just not being able to find a place to play.
Oh, Charity trying to send it now on the motorcycle. Oh, it's an accident! Boys and girls, this is why motorcycles are dangerous. You don't have seatbelts when things go wrong. Charity in the giving mood today. Giving that one up to Noble. Noble should be able to pick that one up. Budge getting this kill.
And we haven't really even talked about Halocline too much. Kind of coming into the day, they were definitely one of our stronger teams in MPLC. We'll see if they can kind of carry that on. They had kind of a middling result last game, but losing 1 off the start is not a good start. Speaking of which, I believe that's the 2nd member down now, at least for Elusive. Yeah,
Elusive now. We saw him send it earlier. Not a lot left. It's just Barry vibes, I believe, still left up for Elusive. Not the greatest start here for this squad.
That should be good.
Oh, nades. There it is.
There it is. Beautiful from J-Sank. Following up with the shots, putting pressure on. Yeah, that's just like a very textbook kill coming out of J-Sank. Awesome play. Valiant getting knocked in the middle of the street there with him going down. I really hope he doesn't die.
Valiant a little bit further up. Oh, no! Just sending it. There goes Lush. He's able to get out.
It's so hot.
Explosion for the vehicle doesn't take him down, and he does have a bit of cover, and he's very
in a
lucky
rough
that
spot.
no one has any angles on him. He's wide open, and he's going to have to
It's not even
make
the
a
angles,
run
it's
for
the grenades that are come out. That's the biggest threat to
Here they
him right now.
come!
That's a
You can see him
molly.
raining.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Rainbow arcs. No Kobe's here. These are more like Shaq at the free throw line right now.
I mean, they're
Dinkin' and
getting
dunking.
close.
Close didn't go in.
That's true. And I mean, Lush is in one hell of a position to try to get out of right now. That truck flipping really killed him.
there
And there
it
it is.
is.
Headshore finds him from all the way inside Pozo, and he's going to go down. Noble needs to get out of the middle of the street. At least the two members do of Fudge and Honey Badger. They don't want to get picked off there. But Noble also in an interesting position. As long as they can slowly kind of take hold of this side of the circle, which is the west, they should be able to move in, kind of take building by building, you know, in that close quarters combat type style. So we'll see what happens with them. Lush is going to bleed out. He's a goner for sure. And it looks like, in fact, the last member of his squad is all the way north.
Yeah. Hey, Wildcard. Well, welcome to the game, everyone. Welcome, Wildcard, along with the San Diego low-key Raridans. Obviously, San Diego Rarity, one of the squads throughout the NPLC season that just consistently just rotated super late. They really didn't care if it was Phase 1, Phase 2. They took their sweet time getting on into the circle. As Phase 3 upon us will be closing up in just a second. Low-key now starting to encroach onto a position in the southwest is Wildcard. Very happy to hang out in the northern part of Monte Nuevo and circle shifting pretty far northeast.
Yes.
So a lot of teams going to have to move here.
I mean, I've seen this circle so many times, and I've played the circle. It's really tough because you basically have to set up and kind of play for three different positions here. You're either setting up in the field with vehicles at the hay barrels where there's like a small kind of stack of them where you can put vehicles. You set up on the mountain to the southwest, which is kind of setting up for the high ground, but also kind of hurting yourself if it shifts off and having to come down off that. Or you set yourself up to play in the city, where getting out of the city can most likely mean certain death, especially if the circle shifts off. So this circle gives you three options, and it kind of depends what you choose where the circle goes on how well you can kind of capitalize off your position there.
Well, we'll keep an eye on who rotates first, and if they get punished, looks like Obey Alliance, again, touched on it before. Hades led the league in damage, able to pick off one from Oxy, who's boom going down. As our squads are thinking about exactly what you just talked about. Who's going to be moving first? How do we get out there? And what's our contingency plans?
And sometimes, I mean, depending on where you choose, you really just only have one direction to go, and that's forward. You know, you can't really backtrack. There's no way to wrap, especially if you're on the southwest side here, where we find P1E and Wildcard. It's a great position, but if the circle shifts off of it and they don't have anyone in the circle, or they haven't planned for anyone to get in the circle, what often happens is they just get trapped there. The only way to go is forward into just a hail of gunfire.
Well, God Squad able to rotate themselves on in. Oh, you can see that last send right there by Spray. Able to join his teammates. He's scrunched in between Space Station Gaming, Noble, and Oxy. And we know that Oxy's been fighting with Obey Alliance, so we're getting pretty crowded here in Pozo as, look at the motorcycle going. Pistola time.
I think he just sent it down the center of the road, and I mean...
What did you expect? Oh, boy. Fast and Furious stunt man right there. Pistola time will help you out.
Fast and Furiously dead, man. That was a risky play. I mean, it could have paid off if he made it past, but it didn't, as we see his bike in the middle of the road. Now, Noble, again, continuing to pick up these kills.
Yeah, and it seems like it's these solo sends by teams that have, or by players that have squads still up. Like Low-Key, you can see the rest of Low-Key right there in that building. Fig's getting picked there. So Noble, the beneficiary of all these different sends.
If this circle hard shifts southwest or southeast, Pozo is going to get extremely dangerous, and we are going to see teams fall by the handful. I mean, this is there's only one team that's really set up in the field, and that's 303, and I believe that's Dusty, who's the last member up. Meanwhile, Clam hitting a nice shot onto Soko with a bolt. But yeah, this is comfortable for all the teams now, but this next shift could tell a completely different story.
That's right. 30 seconds still on Phase 4, so these squads all in the city seem comfortable. It looks like God Squad, though, encroaching upon to Oxy. Have to keep an eye on it. Danny G about to breach the house. Nade does come out. Danny G able to avoid the splash damage, and we'll hold off for just a bit. Here comes Spray and Triggs. Again, this God Squad team very aggressive, and Jason and the rest of the Oxy boys very used to it from the NPLC Phase 3 season. Looks like God Squad will rotate there on in.
I like the play there from Danny to grab that vehicle and kind of go across the street and set up some form of overwatch for God Squad. Now, that being said, they're now committing to this push with only 3 members, so I'm not exactly sure what their plan is.
But blown apart. Getting so lucky that his jump animation gets a ball up.
Was ridiculous.
Yeah, Loeb's going down low-key, actually eliminated by Comets.
The problem also here with Oxy, though, is that they're giving God Squad all this space to move in their building. I mean, they basically just conceded all of it to God Squad, who now can, even though they don't know it yet, they can pretty much just go wherever they want. Dusty, the last one alive. This is what I was talking about. These hay barrels, so important to hold. And he's not going to be able to do it against Fozu, which means that if this does shift in his favor, it's going to be massive. And it looks like it has pushed quite a bit of Pozu out.
Yeah. False information. Low-key is not out. It showed it at the top there, but Low-key still has 1 member up. But God Squad just saying, Oxy, move over. This is our stadium here.
I just realized I said Pozu because it was Fozu.
Yeah. Pozu got the kill.
Yeah.
Tastes delicious.
Again, so a lot of these teams now have to clump basically on top of Obey Alliance and then Oxy, who already has another team on them, and soon to be potentially 2 more with Wildcard and Noble coming in.
Looks like a lot of action happening there on the kill feed. Supernova getting taken out by some of the Smoking Aces members. Remember, Smoking Aces short couple guys. Triggs actually getting knocked by blown apart. Jason trying to get the finish there. Now Spray coming on in. Fire down on the seats of the ring here. And Jason backs on up to the corner. And so God Squad wants to slow it down. Zero gets the jump, able to land the spray. And Jason does go down. Clam on his belly. Yeah. He gets finished off. And God Squad coming up huge here. 14th place for Oxy.
I don't know what Oxy was trying to do by giving up that much space. I understand fighting in that building, that arena it's very difficult and it can be frustrating, but also giving up all of that space, that was just basically asking for a team to just come in and clean them up, and that's exactly what happened.
Now Pentalol and Wildcard encroaching onto the building that Noble's in. And it does look like Wildcard have found a little bit of success there. Two members still up in the form of Fudge and Honey Badger, and you can see right here on your screen, Heteror is trying to be the beneficiary of anyone getting a little loose early on and try to pick up any loose kills here.
Yeah, but SSG has such a good position to just cripple. No! I think he got knocked.
No!
I think he got. What happened?
Honey Badger, I think. No way. I don't think he got knocked. I think he actually just threw it and it burned himself. Oh, no. Feels bad for Noble. And
you really do hate to see that happen. That is unfortunate, man. I thought he got knocked and he just kind of like it was just a residual of that effect, but here we go, another shift. So again, this still leaves those kind of 3 options available, although I will say less so for the Southeast on the hay barrel side, but a lot of these teams having to condense, and as you've seen, we've lost a lot of players already.
Oh, Adam in a bit of trouble. Nades coming on down right now. And thankfully, no backspin here by Comets the way that Baja did in game number 1. So Adam will be safe. A lot of nades coming down. Bullets, Sub-Zero able to shoot through the cracks of the fence there. That's what poor fencemanship leads to. You get shot in the butt. Adam forced to run away using the smoke. Oh, that nade chased him! What a good one there by Sub-Zero.
It was a good bounce. It was a good bounce.
He heard me. He's like, Baja, I'm better than that guy. Pa-pow. Able to pick that one up there.
Yeah, but realistically, the only position to play right now in the Southeast is going to be held by Vanquish. So they should be able to relatively safely come up onto the hill just to their west, but depending on if Obey Alliance is fighting Comets, they might not, especially if they peek over. But yeah, this is a cluster, man. This is going to get so messy so fast. You're actually going down as well. Smoke's coming out. Obey Alliance really has to make sure that they don't let this team encroach on their position, but it's so hard to do as well, especially with all those smokes.
Yeah, smoking on up. Here are the Comets, and it does look like they'll be able to get across the street. Obey Alliance not able to punish. We're following along with Pax, a final member of Low Key, and Low Key already down 1. He's quiet. I think he does see Zero, does get on his belly. Oh, he also had sightline of Triggs. I don't know if Triggs saw him yet.
I don't think so. I don't think that he's actually in this building with them. They are looking, though. They are trying to be a little active. He's got to be
definitely
careful.
Right
Pax,
there. Zero's right there.
Yeah, Pax has to be really careful. And here we go. Looks like Comets was able to get on the lower ridge of the north side of Obey Alliance's position now. Pack's going for grenades. He's actually going for kills.
Yeah, Pack's able to get one there onto 0, trying to salvage any points here so it's not another 0 kill performance.
The reason he did that as well is because he didn't want to alert them that they don't know technically where that grenade could have come from as well. So
and he finishes him off too, so 1 point there for Pax and low-key sharing the building. Oh no, he fluffs his shots and Pax!
Oh, he could have had a massive headshot that could have been huge.
Oh man, Danny G holding his helmet high, and that's a big save there by God Squad, and Triggs picking one up on Pentalol as well. So God Squad finishing off Oxy, then holding off the solo Snake from low-key, and now getting another kill onto Wildcard. God Squad looking good here as Agala.
Gila coming in.
Oh, the pillow! Oh, it bounced off his head!
Oh,
the nade
another
bounced off his
grenade,
head. Another nade though. Agala, I don't think he knows the nade's there.
It's a smoke. It's a smoke.
Oh my
Woo.
goodness, nades back and forth there.
I couldn't see what icon it was. I thought it was a bad bounce, but yeah, P1E again in a good position to be able to control the south side of the circle, and they absolutely have, and now this is becoming a mess. Still SSG though, I'd like to point out, even though they didn't loot where they normally do, they're actually hanging out, chilling, and potentially one of the stronger spots, although this hill right here that we're looking at with the teams of P1E, Smoking Aces, as well as VQ, definitely have a vantage point, especially if they get cut out of it, but we'll see what happens here. And we also have to look to find out who's actually going to win the battle of this southern side of the circle.
Yeah, again, Player One Esports has a path to the western side of the circle, David holding that one. But Comets still fighting off with Vanquish there, along with Zenith. And I think Player One Esports still thinking about, do they want to get those points? Now it's Matthew. He's right next to Hades. They hear the footsteps going back and forth, and they know they're close.
Yeah, I mean, Comets came up onto this position knowing that Obey, well, I don't know if they knew it was exactly Obey Alliance, but that there was a team of at least 2 members here in this warehouse, or in this brick building. So they actually were able to kind of move past Obey Alliance because of how passive they played with only 2. So Comets actually might be in a better position to try to pick them off. While we go back now to the south, once again, this hill fight is going to be out of control. You have VQ, Zenith, the last member of Smoking Aces. You also have P1E basically controlling all of that. And then in the north, you have SSG, God Squad, as well as now Obey Alliance trying to come in because they opted to avoid the team of Comets who had taken over their position. And this is getting messy all over the place, everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Space Station doing pretty good. They got multiple members up. Soko has been spotted out. You always have an opportunity when Hades is live for Obey Alliance, but Vanquish Gaming have been vanquished for a long time. They're holding that open area. They got encroached upon and killed off by Zenith. It looks like Zenith, the Dragon Squad, now reverted to snakes. They're on their bellies. They're forced to run here. Comets now taking distant shots, and P1E more than happy to play the outskirts of the circle with only 5 seconds left here in Phase 7.
Yeah, Shift is coming. This is going to be a very telling story of who basically is going to be able to grab this game. And it looks like it just centers up actually not really that big of an impact at all. P1E is just going to start to close in on the south and clean up the last couple solos. Cloudtail's been sitting there for I can't even tell you how long. But, you know, not a major shift to where one team absolutely gets cut out. Wait a second, Cloudtail, though, on the offensive, going to take one down from P1E, now moving up, potentially looking for more. They got to be careful not to lose too many members because they can still win this game, and huge shots coming out on D-Treats from actually Comets.
Yeah, it was a very, very big spread here for P1E, and now they're getting caught out. Roth does go down, so another position point for Cloudtail. I think the final solo currently out of the 5 squads still up, along with Hades. And they've got a little way to go to get inside Player One Esports, don't they?
Yeah, and Cloudtail has really been holding it down here for Smoking Aces, coming in for Light Show and just really subbing in because he wasn't able to make this event, unfortunately. But, I mean, being able to stay alive for this long, he has 2 kills. Potentially, if he plays this right, he could get another 2 kills, another placement. He's going to get a nice spray down. And can he get the other one?
He's able to get 2! That's huge there! What
Absolutely
a play!
ridiculous. I was just talking about he's come in and a massive impact. And as a player, as an individual player, we kind of saw Cloudtail and what he was kind of capable of in Phase 2, but I feel like he's really leveled up and elevated his game, and especially as potentially, I believe he's still a free agent as just subbing in for this team right now. Definitely someone that people should be looking at as far as skill.
Yeah, if you're Player One Esports, you're just frustrated with that
You are,
because you had
because you died
multiple
to a
members
solo.
up. You had a pathway to the circle if you head west, but you picked the aggressive route. You head south, and 2 members there for Cloudtail, and you might just hold off for a little bit longer here. We're in Phase 9. Circle will be slowly moving on in. You can see Space Station Gaming have just combed the area, and Hades will have to move. Comets will have to move. Cloudtail will have to move. All of them will have to move. This is Space Station's game to lose.
It really is. If they need to be careful not to split up too much, give themselves up to those solos. We do see that they are fairly split. The only person I would say that's really in danger, though, is either Valiant or maybe Hetror, but I wouldn't say so as much because here comes J-Sank to kind of hold his back. So they still have sightlines on each other to make sure that even if one does get knocked, there's at least a trade or some return fire damage coming in. Cloudtail's in a really tough position, though, going for the bolt. He has the blue to his back. He's going to have to move in into the open. Shots coming in. He's just going for any damage or knocks or kills he can potentially find, but he's going to go out in 3rd place, holding his head up high, knowing he just made an amazing play. But now it's Sub-Zero and just the last member of Yaxley.
Yeah, we were harping on Space Station Gaming earlier after that game number 1, but they're able to bounce back, get themselves a 9-kill chick